Welcome everyone, we are back for another week's worth of news and information all about Star Citizen Universe. I'm DarkHour717, and as we get into this week's updates, remember if you enjoy these weekly news reviews or find them helpful, hit that like and subscribe button for me, as it really does help me out and it is very much appreciated. And all of you that have already subscribed, thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate it. And remember to visit the community page here on YouTube to see how you can participate in the September screenshot contest. You'll possibly walk away with a Drake Cutlass Black with a Skull and Crossbones paint. So this week we saw a number of things happen. We've had the conclusion of the 2952 Ship Showdown and the completion of the Free Fly event, the start of the Pirate Week, as well as the running of two fun dynamic events. And with great episodes of Inside Star Citizen as well as Star Citizen Live, there's a lot to go over for sure. First, let's get into the Ship Showdown. After several rounds, we have a clear winner in what turned out to be the most heated competition of the entire event. Coming down to just the Anvil Carrack and the Crusader Mercury Star Runner, the top two ships battled it out over 24 hours and never really exceeded much past the 500 vote difference between the two. But in the end, the Carrack came out on top to win the entire competition. Of course, this means that owners of the Carrack, as well as the top four, have some always fun rewards coming to them. The top four ships will all receive a special paint in-game that will be free to all current owners. These will be presented and issued out at the annual Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, otherwise known as IAE, at the beginning of December. Also, a challenge coin for each of the top four will be given in-game to each owner as well. The Carrack, though, being the top winner, will also receive an in-game ship model for all owners to celebrate its victory. And just in case you were not following the competition, the top four were the Carrack, the Mercury Star Runner, in third place the Anvil C8X Pisces, and rounding out the top four was the RSI Scorpius. All great ships in their own rights. Be aware though that all the 2952 Ship Showdown Edition ships have been removed from the pledge store and are no longer available for pledge, though those that have always been available do remain obtainable, though with the regular length of insurance and not the extended 24 months. Congrats though to all of you that own a Carrack, it is a highly worthy ship. With the completion of the Ship Showdown though, that brings us directly into Pirate Week. This is an annual event celebrating all that is piratey in the verse. And this year, one long-awaited item has finally made it into the verse, and that's the Skull and Crossbones paint that was originally part of the Drake Loot and Scoop package. And it is available for purchase on its own in the pledge store as well for $10 US. Along with the Skull and Crossbones though, we also see new paints for the Avenger Titan, Gladius, and Vanguard series with the Solar Winds paint. This is actually a very sexy chrome paint that has red accents with a splash of gold in them, and these things look amazing. These can be pledged in a 3-pack for $18 US or individually for $5 US for the Avenger, $7 US for the Gladius, and $11 US for the Vanguard. In other piratey news, and yes, I'm gonna make piratey a word, we also see a limited sale on some favorite ships with the Avenger Stalker, Vanguard Hoplite, Vanguard Sentinel, Vanguard Warden, all opened up for sale at their usual pledge price. But also war bonds are available on the Avenger Warlock, which is the EMP equipped version, and the Warbond CCUs for $80 US, which is a $5 savings off the regular price. We also see the Vanguard Harbinger at $270 US Warbond CCU price, which is a $20 savings off the original pledge cost. Also, as always, if you have unlocked the pirate versions of the Caterpillar or Gladius, these are available as they always are as a standalone ship. You can obtain access to these through completing Arena Commander multiplayer Pirate Swarm. Also running currently is a Pirate Week screenshot contest with entries being accepted through the 20th of September, with the top three prizes being the Avenger Warlock for third place, the Aegis Gladius for second place, and the Vanguard Harbinger for first place, all with LTI and the Solar Winds paint. I will have a link in the description to the contest page for more details. Along with Pirate Week, we are seeing new runs of both the Ninetales Lockdown and the Siege of Orison running over the weekend. With the Siege of Orison kicking off this past Thursday, it will be running for 24 hours on Thursday, Saturday, and Monday starting at noon Eastern Time. With the Ninetales Lockdown running on Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday, also for 24 hours, but segmented into 6-hour blocks from noon Eastern Time. These are two really fun events, and the Siege of Orison really is the most fun of the two. We were able to run the Siege on Thursday through 2 successful playthroughs. And as we know, some additional testing was done on PTU for this, as well as Ninetales Lockdown after the launch of 3.17.2. Our experience with Siege this time around was actually greatly improved over the original runs that we did with its first release. As changes had been made to alleviate some shuttle camping at the beginning, it did not occur for us at all, though I'm not inclined to say it is because of the changes made, because I really did not notice much at the Solanke platform. But the performance was vastly improved with no crashes to desktop or issues in lieutenants spawning in the floor or not at all. This truly was 2 clean runs through with no issues. The AI almost seems more aggressive and the event was challenging, and with the improved performance, it really was a great time, and I cannot wait to run more sessions of this. And that brings us to the Ninetales lockdown. This one was not as smooth. Now, once it actually got up and running, we actually breezed through this fairly quick with the number of people that were on the server. But just getting it launched really seemed to be the biggest issue of the day. With the first day seeing the event having issues with launching, causing several hours delay in getting into the action, the first run actually set off 2 hours late, and watching the SC testing chat, it was stated that the remaining time should still happen as scheduled with no delay, though when the second run was to launch, we again saw a 2-hour delay. Now, once it was running, we were able to run through it, though the first couple of trips with the medical supplies saw inbound cargo ships being unaffected by the quantum blockade, and quantuming all the way to the station, while outbound ships were affected and the normal distance to get out of the suppression area was experienced. The event overall was fun and a huge AUEC earner, but the frustration and delays to get it going was the biggest issue. Hopefully when this returns on Sunday, we will see the launching issues resolved though. Outside of these events, 317.2 has been doing well still, with some of the issues we discussed last week having seemed to have worked themselves out. Though in the ArcCorp area, we are experiencing again that the turrets on moon stations are shooting through the landscape and mountainsides to cause havoc on ships and destroy them. The bunkers themselves seem to be operational again, with elevators working as they should over the last few days, and all the AI spawning in as expected. Though with a number of visits to Klesher, it is being seen where loss of Moby-Glass and your head is still a thing. The only remedy that we've found for this is to exit the game and come back in. Simply backspacing will help, though will usually also leave you with no clothes on. Also, several people are still experiencing at times the loss of equipment or random armor changes between sessions, though it is occurring less often. 317.2 really is holding up well, with most issues still being minor inconveniences and easily dealt with. And finally, before we get into the scheduled news releases for the week, the referral bonus is still running through the 19th of September, where you can receive a consolidated Outland hover quad, $30 value, free by using the referral code when you sign up with the paid game pack. Just use the referral code of a friend or anyone and you will receive the hover bike, which will include LTI and is completely upgradable. This of course brings us to the regular weekly items, starting with the lore post, which this week it's a portfolio on Cousin Crows. Telling the tale of Nampo Vasco, the founder of Cousin Crows, starting in the days of smuggling runs with his mother to support her gambling addiction, it takes us through her giving him up to a Banu Suli to pay a debt due to her losses. Through working the Banu chop shop, he gained a love for working on and modifying ships and found himself caught up in the area's criminal scene. Eventually stealing a Constellation and using it to smuggle things himself with a small crew, he was eventually captured and sent to a rehabilitation facility. After release, he had earned the name Cousin Crows and opened up a shop in 2924 with the name. Focusing on staying on the right path of the law, he centered his efforts on hiring the rehabilitated. Making a name for himself after his most famous conversion of a Genesis Starliner into a party boat, he was approached by Drake on a project which in turn gave him the idea to convert the newly designed Kraken into a Banu-like marketplace. After this, he found out that there was really no limit to what he could do and gave back in turn to those around him, providing salaries that guaranteed no one would fall to the wrong side of the law again. After Crusader approached him, he was able to make a deal that provided him with his flagship location on the Providence platform in Orison. The story really goes into the life and successes that Nampo had to become Cousin Crow, and is an excellent read for the lore fans, and I recommend you check it out. A link's going to be in the description down below. Wednesday, we also saw the Squadron 42 monthly report posted to the RSI website, as well as the latest roadmap roundup. With the roadmap, we see that they are starting with discussing 318, stating that they are still on track for 318 to hit PTU this month, which, keep in mind, as clarified through a Spectrum post, this means that at a minimum it's going to be in the Evocati's hands. They do reiterate, of course, that the more time it is in the hands of the players, the better off they'll be for it. They did remind everyone that the testing time is expected to be 2 to 3 months in PTU, and that this would mean that IAE will be a part of the 3.18 patch. Then we see in the release view that the Drake Corsair is posted on the 3.18 release view, and that new interdiction scenarios and environmental space missions are temporarily removed until their release timing can be reassessed. Now, with the Drake Corsair going onto the release view, keep in mind this is not committed. This is simply a goal that they are trying to make sure that it's in for 3.18, and that could happen anytime from 3.18 to a 3.18X patch. And in no way does CIG guarantee it is a committed unit until it's marked as committed. In the progress tracker, the Santilki Eye is added on for building and balancing, while the RSI Apollo and the Tumble Ranger are momentarily removed until further resources can be reallocated. Also, we see that persistent hangars is also temporarily removed while work from the USPU team is being done on freight elevators for hangars and cargo, as this is a prerequisite for the persistent hangars. So overall, exciting news on the Corsair, as it is one that I'm excited to see in the game. Thursday, we see an all salvage inside Star Citizen, and this was an extremely exciting episode, as I'm a huge fan of this gameplay loop and I've really been waiting a long time for it. They take a look at the initial abilities of the salvage gameplay from the aspect of not only the Drake Vulture, but also the Aegis Reclaimer and hand salvaging, including the ability to salvage materials by hand off ships that you've knocked out of the sky and reapply it to your own ship for repairing. We also see the whole stripping feature for the 2 salvage ships and the way that this will work, as well as they inform us of the need for multi-crew really with the Reclaimer due to the need to stack the material below in the hold as it is processed into cubes. This definitely all looks exciting, and there was also clarification in regard to the current rec systems in-game and the fact that these would not be salvageable as they do not have a proper in-game build to support being stripped. So I guess that really kills the idea of just running around the clock shifts at the Javelin rec site. This is one episode though that if you're interested in salvaging, I definitely recommend that you don't miss out on, and a link's going to be in the description to check that out. Friday, we did get a very interesting talk with Benoit and Paul, hosted by Jared, all about persistent entity streaming on Star Citizen Live. They got into the idea of what PES is and the fact that this is what will give us a new foundation for the game and a huge part that will make server meshing possible. Talking as to the difference between a server and a shard and how currently there is no difference, but over time the shards will be made up of several servers each. In its current state, it was asked how do we get back onto the same server when relogging if that is the case. And Paul mentioned making sure to stow your items in the inventory to ensure it will transfer. But in the case of crashing, your position will be held for approximately 10 minutes for you to log back in. Just keep in mind that currently only things you store will actually follow you session to session. But dropped items will only exist within that shard it was dropped in. The long run goal is to have shards that are extremely large, so chances will be that you'll continually get back onto the same shard. Of course, a benefit that we may see in the long run is when a 30k occurs, we won't even notice it. The discussion on persistent entity streaming and what it will do and how is extremely interesting, and I highly recommend checking this episode out as it really dives deep into that technology. Jared also spends a moment to really reiterate that cargo refactor is still a part of 3.18, and then moving into a question related to Alt F4 combat logging and how that will be affected by PES. And this is where Benoit starts by making sure to reiterate that this is a total bastard move in his own words. In relation to combat logging though, eventually a logout timer may be implemented eventually that will allow your opponent time to still kill you, and this will help address the combat logging issue, as it is an issue that they do acknowledge. Though PES is not a fix for this issue and will not affect it. There will be a link in the description for the episode, so I definitely recommend you check it out. And this really brings an end to this week's update, and I hope you all found it useful. Remember to check out the community tab to see how you can get into the screenshot contest for a chance to win a Drake Cutlass Black with the Skull and Crossbones skin, and check out the Twitch channel where you can catch the stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the merch store or hit that join button above for a membership. All of the support is greatly appreciated and goes right back into our giveaways and contests. I do want to thank everybody for joining me this week, and please be safe out there, and we will see you in the verse.